today's show, I look at the week that was for Prime Minister Andrew Holness and the work of the Jamaica Customs Agency in combating corruption. This is Jamaica Magazine, and I'm Sandra Clark. Stay with us for an informative show.
Good day, I'm Lorraine Mendez and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, July 17. Cabinet has approved $1.3 million to buy additional automated border control kiosks and upgrade existing ones. Information Minister Senator Ruel Reid says the money will be taken from the airport improvement fees that are collected at the island's two major international airports. The Passport, Immigration and Citizenship Agency, PICA, is implementing the kiosk project to reduce congestion at immigration and customs during peak periods. At the recent post-cabinet press briefing, Minister Reid revealed that approval was also given to spend approximately $7 million on the development of a pier in Port Royal. He says cabinet approved the allocation for the supply, installation and commissioning of a seawalk floating pier to accommodate cruise ships. Cruise Ventures AS has been awarded the contract. The Stony Hill Health Centre will be upgraded and expanded to improve care to the nearly 2,000 patients it serves each month. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton broke ground on Monday for the start of the project.
If this facility wasn't here, people would end up at the hospitals. And the waiting time there, of course, would be challenged because it would just be difficult to respond. So it is appropriate that we have embarked on this project.
Approximately $59 million is allocated for the upgrading work, while another $20 million is set aside to purchase equipment. Coffee farmers across the island will now benefit from over 28,000 bags of newly formulated fertilizers. The product was specifically designed for application to coffee trees. It's to prevent and correct soil nutrient deficiency when used as part of a balanced fertility program. Agriculture Minister Audley Shaw says this is among the initiatives being implemented to help boost the coffee industry.
We're going to use fertilizer. We're going to get more productive, and we're going to work with the large and small. We're going to build a level playing field, and we are going to build back the coffee industry in Jamaica. That is my pledge to you as the Minister of Agriculture.
Government is partnering with Newport First and Jamaica Limited to distribute the coffee fertilizer to farmers, and several bags were handed over to the Agriculture Ministry recently. They're being distributed under the Fertilizer Assistance Supplies and Training FAST program, which was established by the ministry last year. Government will be using a newly released World Bank report as a planning tool to equip the Finance and Public Service Ministry with information and instruments to manage liabilities posed by natural disasters. The report is titled Advancing Disaster Risk Finance in Jamaica and suggests that on average, the country would need $16 billion annually to cover losses from natural disasters. It's estimated that $9 billion of that amount would be required to address hurricane damage to public and private buildings. Minister without portfolio in the Finance and Public Service Ministry, Favour Williams, says the government welcomes the proposals for creating a comprehensive disaster risk finance strategy that is specific to Jamaica.
I greatly appreciate the work that went into the analysis. It was rigorous, it's practical, and the roadmap is straightforward in its suggested implementation. We are now at that point where we seriously need to evaluate and implement a set of financial instruments that suit our needs and will provide resources for us to call on to assist with swift recovery.
Research by the International Monetary Fund, IMF, had indicated that since 1950, the Caribbean has been hit by 324 natural disasters. It showed that the economic impact of these events exceeded $22 billion over the period 1950 to 2016. Locally, Minister Williams says hurricanes have set back Jamaica's economic growth an average of about 2.5% of gross domestic product annually. And finally, the Jamaica Combined Cadet Force has received over $1.5 million in training equipment from the Education Ministry. The equipment was purchased under the Improved Safety and Security in Schools project, jointly supported by the Ministry and the USAID. The donation is to help efforts to expand the presence of uniformed groups in schools to reduce violence and antisocial behavior among youth. Among the equipment handed over are a printer, laptops, and a 50-inch television. The Jamaica Combined Cadet Force was established 75 years ago and is currently in over 80 high schools across Jamaica. There are plans to add another 75 schools to that list. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Lorraine Mendez. Thanks for watching.
Safety on our roads is our responsibility. Jamaicans, drivers, passengers, motorcyclists, and pedestrians, slow down. Observe the rules of the road. Be courteous. Drive defensively. Be considerate. Buckle up. Wear a helmet. The careless overtaker is only rushing to the undertaker. Not observing the rules of the road could cost you your life and that of your loved ones. I encourage all road users to take special care as we use public thoroughfares. The life you save may be your own. Remember, your family wants you to arrive alive.
Watch now to hear Prime Minister Andrew Holness speak on the restructuring of Petrol.
Prime Minister institutes raft of measures to improve operations at Petrol. Instructs the Jamaica Special Economic Zone Authority to be efficient in service delivery and breaks ground for the newest NHT housing development in Trelawney. These and other stories in today's Jamaica House Weekly. Prime Minister Andrew Holness assumed responsibility for the energy portfolio on July 4, and on July 9, he updated Parliament on the immediate actions being taken to safeguard the viability of state-owned refinery Petrol. Included in the interventions is the formation of a committee to undertake a strategic review of Petrol's management and operational structure. The committee is to be chaired by businessman Christopher Zaka. Other members are to be named this week. An acting general manager has been appointed by the new Petrol board. Mr. Holness, through the cabinet secretary and permanent secretary, will now have to approve travel for public officials. And future submissions for board approvals must disclose their residency status. Only cabinet can approve sole source retainer contracts. And all retainer contracts must be included in annual reports. As for long-term measures, the Ministry of Finance is to update its procurement policy requirement and propose amendments to the Public Bodies Management and Accountability Act. The Finance Ministry will also establish ceilings for donations approved by boards, the number of times a single applicant benefits, as well as create a uniformed application and approval process.
If the entity wishes to make donations above the ceiling, then such donations should be channeled to a grant-making agency of the government, whose mandates support the evaluation, approval, monitoring, and securing value for purpose from the funds granted.
Entities funded by the Consolidated Fund are no longer allowed to make budgetary allocations for corporate social responsibility and donations, except for human resource matters.
Whatever issues are raised, the government will act to address them. This government has nothing to hide, and we are not shielding anyone, and we are not covering up anything.
Earlier in the day, Mr. Holness was moved to give a personal donation to the family of 14-year-old Taj Rowe. Taj, who suffers from brain damage, currently has a 13-year-old court case being appealed by the state. During Tuesday's visit, the Prime Minister promised that the Attorney General and the Minister of Justice would examine and give special attention to the case.
There is a sense that has to be built in this society that we care for persons who are marginalized, less fortunate, vulnerable. And so the state bureaucracy has to follow the law and has to try and perfect the law almost. And the Attorney General's department has that duty, and they are following that. But it can't be to the expense of compassion. And I have that duty to give a direction to the state that we must be compassionate and caring about our citizens, and I have to lead by example in that regard.
By Wednesday, Prime Minister Holness witnessed the official opening of the Jamaica Special Economic Zone Authority. Mr. Holness challenged the authority to be effective and efficient in processing and approving business applications it receives. This, he says, should be executed using technology and other available resources.
As we evolve as a society, as we develop as a country, a part of that development must be the change in our bureaucratic culture. Bureaucracy is not bad, but bureaucracy doesn't mean that the thing must take 10 days if it can take 1.
The authority is tasked with implementing the Global Logistics Hub Initiative and regulating special economic zones. Some 480 direct and indirect jobs are expected from investment valued at $28 billion on 4,000 hectares of land designated as special economic zones. Already, 104 companies have received special economic zone status, allowing them to access fiscal incentives, including tax breaks. On Thursday, the Prime Minister was in Trelawney, where he broke ground for the Windsor Hills housing development. The National Housing Trust will be providing 212 serviced lots, 64 of which will be going towards the Sugar Company of Jamaica Holdings Limited through a land swap agreement. Mr. Holness said 2 other housing developments, Granville and Dry Valley, are planned for Trelawney. That and other developments, he said, will help to push the NHT past its 22,000 target by 2021 to 23,354 units. And while at Thursday's groundbreaking, Mr. Holness announced that his cabinet would be undergoing good governance training. He says this will ensure that ministers are clear on their roles in providing proper oversight to government bodies under their control.
Our government must be strong. Our government must stand visibly and demonstrably in support of transparency, of good governance, with a firm stance against corruption.
Back in Kingston on Friday, Prime Minister Holness participated in a staff meeting at Petrol.
My role is to ensure that you get the appropriate policy direction and ultimately to ensure that there is good management of the organization.
There he assured staff members of his commitment to implementing measures that will maintain the oil refinery's viability, safeguard jobs and the island's energy security. Mr. Holness said the entity topped his list of priorities and would be given special attention over the next few months. Petrojam staff members were also told that the planned management and operational review would be completed by November.
The strategic review is going to help me to point in the right direction. Having a strong board is going to ensure that the direction is executed properly. And having the right management is going to make sure that we meet all the steps along the way towards reaching the direction.
And that's how we close out Jamaica House Weekly. Be sure to join us next time for more of the news coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.
Life is all about making decisions, choosing from a number of options to do a particular thing, which may result in a specific outcome.
It can be difficult, but there are 4 things you can do to help make that decision.
Stop.
Check out what's happening and remind yourself to think before acting.
Think.
Make sure you're aware of the choices, all the advantages and disadvantages. Then think about the consequences.
Act.
Choose the best option and do something about it.
Review.
Finally, review what you have done and determine if it was good or bad. That way, you'll be in a better position to make the next decision, whether big or simple.
Up next, the various anti-corruption strategies being implemented by the Jamaica Customs Agency, JCA.
Because of the scope, nature, and sometimes complexity of our work, customs administration are particularly susceptible to corruption.
With this in mind, and acknowledging that corruption can undermine the economic development of any country, the Jamaica Customs Agency, JCA, the public sector entity responsible for collecting revenue from imports, is taking measures to maintain integrity and transparency within its operations. In December 2017, the JCA, in collaboration with its partners, hosted its inaugural event in commemoration of International Anti-Corruption Day under the theme Youth at Risk, aimed at raising the level of awareness of staff and stakeholders about the strategies the agency is using to prevent, combat, and ultimately eliminate corruption.
Are we corruption about?
The event, held at the JCA's head office at Newport East, Myers Wharf in Kingston, is a precursor to a range of activities to be undertaken by the agency as a part of its anti-corruption measures.
Some of the strategies we have instituted in preventing and combating corruption include engaging in the security vetting of employees, expanding our enforcement operation, implementing a more structured rotation policy, conducting a comprehensive review of our standard operation procedures, establishing an anti-corruption ethics committee, undertaking anti-corruption sensitization session for staff, automating some of our operational processes, developing an integrity manual, offering open access by the public to report matters of corruption to the agencies.
In keeping with its anti-corruption efforts, the agency has also partnered with several government entities.
National Integrity Action is very pleased to be united with the Jamaica Customs Agency, with the Caribbean Maritime University, with the Office of the Contractor General and other government and non-government bodies. Indeed, with all of our people standing up against corruption.
This is a message from the Office of the Contractor General and our partners here today. The message that we need to pass on. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. The other message is even more important. Let's ask to read along with me. Stand up for what is right, even if you stand alone.
Additional support for the agency's anti-corruption efforts will be given by the government through the provision of state-of-the-art scanning equipment.
The technology exists now where scanning technology can identify anything and everything in a container. In looking at the appropriate technology, and we are now about to enter into the procurement process to acquire the appropriate technology. We can't afford to say we can't afford the technology.
The Jamaica Customs Agency is committed to using good management practices, solid partnerships, advanced technology, and public awareness to provide exemplary service which is free from corruption. To play your part in our anti-corruption efforts, call the JCA at 750-3020 or email internal affairs at jacustoms.gov.jm.
My mother taught me how to work for what I want. And if you don't work for it, then you don't deserve it.
They always tell me, be yourself. Don't try to be like others.
They help me through tough times, good time, bad time, they're always there for me.
Once the family is good, teach the children the right things, then them can grow up on the right.
Anna, why are you knocking down my door? What is it?
Jackie, I don't know what to do. From Jason dead, I have nothing to give to the children, and I don't know where to turn.
So why you didn't go down to the Administrator General's department, the place I told you about the other day?
Lord Jackie, me know you try to help me, you know, but remember say me and Jason never did marry, you know.
What do you mean by that, Anna? The law say if a single man and a single woman live together as husband and wife for 5 years and more immediately before death, then he or she is considered a spouse.
Really? That mean me can't get something then? Cause boy, it rough, you know.
Yes, man, just go down there, tell them about the case, that Jason died, leaving no will, house and children under 18 years. Go down there and see what them can do for you.
A true you're talking, Jackie. Where you say the place there again?
Down a waterfront, man. 12 Ocean Boulevard. Go down there, talk to them and see if them can help you.
Okay, I'm going down there right now.
Good morning, madam. How are you?
Good morning, miss. I hear that the Administrator General's department can help me. You see, my children, them father died, leaving me with the 2 pitney them, and I'm me alone I care for them.
Did he leave a will?
Will, ma'am. After Jason never ready for dead, I come from work and drop down dead. My friend tell me say under the law, I'm considered a spouse. By the way, who is a spouse?
Under the Interstates, Estates and Property Charges Act, a spouse is a single man and woman living together as husband and wife for 5 years or more. By living together, the two persons should not have been separated at any time during the 5 years immediately before death. A surviving spouse includes a person who is legally married. That is, he or she went in front of a pastor and took the vow of marriage. If Anna meets the requirements, she can hire an attorney at law or go to the legal aid clinic to apply for an order from the court declaring that she's a spouse. Some of the questions the court will look at are: did Anna and Jason break up during the 5 years? Did Jason have any children born in the same year as Anna's children? The court will also want to know if Anna or Jason were married before and not divorced. Once the order has been granted, the spouse would be entitled to benefit from the estate of the deceased. For further information, you can visit the Administrator General's Department in Kingston, 3rd floor at the Office Center Building, 12 Ocean Boulevard, or call us at 922-183023. You can also visit our Western office at the 2nd floor of the National Housing Trust Building at 42B Union Street, Montego Bay, St. James. Telephone 630-4261. Our website is at www.agd.gov.jm. That's the Administrator General's Department, securing your legacy.
Search for little sea and sun. Them search and search and search till them don't know where fit on. Them ask the question where them can get the best white rum. Have I said it's only in a jam town? So them book a flight same time and guess where them come? Them land on a Montego Bay and reggae start bust them drum. Them call all them friends and family. Everybody run come, then them call me Sapi. And Andrew said them want to be a citizen. Hear what them say, this your island now we own. Sweet Jamaica we own. Anywhere in the world, this your little pearl, tell them. Sweet Jamaica how we own. One more time again, this your island now we own. Jamaica, we home. Anywhere in the world we go, this a little bird, tell them. Sweet Jamaica, how we I can never turn. I travel all over the world and can't find nothing for them. But when me remember the ackee and saltfish and the sweet rundown, greater cake blue, I say, sweet Jamaica, here I come, I still not leave ya. This your island now we home. Sweet Jamaica, we home. Anywhere in the world we go, this your little pearl, tell them. Sweet Jamaica, how we home. Our run at them at the best. Reggae music beating me chest. Place to be when you're feeling stressed. It's Jamaica. Our cricket don't bother best. If you tell about Rukum Tukum, don't vex the people, them nice. Oh yes, in Jamaica. Hear me again. This your island now we home. Sweet Jamaica we home. Anywhere in the world we go, this your little pearl, tell them. Sweet Jamaica how we home. One more time again. This your island now we home. Sweet Jamaica we home. Anywhere in the world we go, this your little pearl, tell them. Sweet Jamaica how we home. Play the brass down. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Sweet Jamaica, we love you. Hey, 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 hey. Hey, Jamaica, we love you. Hey, 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 hey. Jamaica, we love you. Hey, hey, hey.
This program and others can be viewed on our YouTube page. You can also visit our website and other social media platforms to stay in the know on matters of national importance. And of course, join us daily on this station for the latest installment of Jamaica Magazine. Until next time, I'm Sandra Clark. On behalf of the team here at the JIS, walk good.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.